Uh, there's no host. There's no host. So, yeah, since there's no host tonight, they put me on here, and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I'm the sound guy, and I've never learned how to read, so let's just get into it, We'll just do our best. So last week, United States President and first man to have his fingers surgically replaced with moldy sausages, Donald Trump announced that possibility that that he might close the United States and Mexico border entirely in the coming weeks. Of course, we here at Next Week Now can report with absolute certainty that this will be happening next Tuesday. Now, Trump's doing this to keep Mexican people out of our country, which is, of course, perfectly acceptable. But unfortunately, it turns out Mexico just isn't exporting drugs and crime and rapists. It's also has, I assume, a very fine fruit. Avocados. I've never actually tried them myself because I can't stand spicy food. And, what can I say? But when Trump closes the border, there's going to be an entire shortage of avocados in America. And you know what that means? You sorority sisters out there are not going to get your avocado toast. And that's because it turns out that all toast comes exclusively from Mexico. You may think you get toast from your toaster, but what's really happening is that your toaster is sending your bread to Mexico, where it is swapped out for toast and then sent back to you. This might seem ridiculous. It is. But what are you gonna do? Not believe every word we say? Yeah, I don't think so. What else will you see missing after the border closes? Well, you'll also notice an absence of blackberries, tomatoes, college students who are currently on spring break, loose gold, Guillermo del Toro, and all Mexican food. All Mexican food. But I love Chewies. But don't worry, that won't affect any of your favorite Tex-Mex restaurants. Oh, okay, cool. After the border closes, we won't be able to have Cinco de Mayo. So after May 4th, we'll just jump straight to the 6th. Social media influencers will get stuck down there and start dying because they won't have access to Gwyneth Paltrow's life-giving goop. Unfortunately, we won't have access to Despacito, but the good news is that we'll still have the Justin Bieber version. No! Of course, Mexico won't be the only country affected by this move. After all, we haven't even talked about all those other Mexican countries. Can we say that? Is that, offensive? Okay, fine. When those other Mexican borders are closed, we'll have access to even fewer things. For instance, there won't be giant pyramids, kangaroos, potatoes, popes, maple syrup, anime, or Hollywood. Now, I know Hollywood. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't Hollywood in California? You're right. But California used to be a Mexican country, so why take a chance? We're just going to shut down that border too while we're at it. We'll also be shutting down New Mexico, for obvious reasons, Florida, and this is true, my own actual butthole. There's just too many brown things coming out of there. Who wrote this? Can we say this on live TV? Who? Okay, fine. Is it possible to slander myself? Luckily for us, one Mexican country, China, already has a giant wall built to make this process go a little faster. So if you're a fan of products from any of these Mexican countries, be sure to grab them off the shelves while they're still there. And if any of you want to get anything from my butthole, I'll be here for about 20 minutes after the show. All right, excellent. So was that good? Was it good? Was that funny?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because of the writing.
I'll try better. In recent news, there's been a certain upswing of old characters from your youth that you know and love, making notable returns. It started with the Jonas Brothers, famous for their time on the Disney Channel, who ended their long hiatus to reunite last month. Not 2 weeks ago, former Disney star Miley Cyrus posted videos in her Hannah Montana persona, turning a lot of heads for fans of the nostalgic Disney classic. And shortly thereafter, rumors were abuzz of a return of Wizards of Waverly Place on Disney's new streaming service, as well as Drake Bell and Josh Peck, former stars of Drake and Josh on Nickelodeon, rumored to collab again on a new project. With these nostalgic shows and people making comebacks in 2019, it seems as if popular but long forgotten trends in media are making a notable comeback. Because of everyone's never-ending craving for nostalgic content, we here at Next Week Now predict that everyone is going to make a comeback, whether we like it or not. My Chemical Romance will make their long-awaited comeback. So all you 20-year-olds out there who loved them growing up can blow the dust off your black eyeliner you used to abuse. As for kids shows, Avatar: The Last Airbender, a cult classic, will return with a spectacular 4th season. And don't worry about M. Night Shyamalan, director of the garbage movie. He has a restraining order for the rest of his life, so we'll be fine. Kenan and Kel will make their long-awaited return to television, with Kenan Thompson's departure meaning the immediate collapse of Saturday Night Live shortly thereafter. While these may seem good and well, the comebacks will quickly turn into Pet Sematary. That is, some things were better off dead. Disney classic Even Stevens will hit adolescent screens again. But time has caught up to these two stars, and the bulk of the show will just be 20 minutes of Shia LaBeouf screaming fake woke things and having extremely graphic, detailed on-camera sex. While Beans, 15 years older, looks like the man who'd stuff you in a white van if you stood too close. Ironically, both of these things will actually boost Disney's ratings. The remnants of the bands Nirvana and the Beatles will come back with a mind-blowing twist. They'll join and form a rock supergroup called Can't Keep a Lead. And if you think it stops there, you must be watching this godforsaken show for the first time. Because even Hall of Famer and maybe serial killer O.J. Simpson will be thrust into the spotlight once again, following another murder of his wife and her lover.
Another one.
Man, he's like 2-0. Instead of being called the trial of the century, it'll be called Come On. We know he did it this time, right? But the biggest comeback of all won't be from a person. That grandpa of yours who casually slings around racial slurs will get his wish of things when he goes back to the good old days when polio makes a gigantic comeback. And a lot of people must be nostalgic for paralysis because enormous city populations will be overtaken by the disease, resulting in more paralysis than a Special Olympics event. Who wrote this? Turns out your mom's Facebook friend who believes in anti-vaxxing and essential oils couldn't prevent this. Who knew? But that's just the appetizer. For the main course, the bubonic plague, which will make such a comeback billions of people will notice when they die from organ failure and shock riddled with giant boils. Fortunately, the European populace would say, been there, done that, and withstand the epidemic, and humanity will start over across the pond, which means a bunch of European crap will make an ugly comeback for humanity. No seasoning, filthy streets, and using the guillotine on things you don't like. And eventually, after a few centuries, people will recolonize the world and rebel against their leaders, which leads to the true comeback. America itself. God bless. So, I'm going to go get some reading lessons real quick. In the meantime, enjoy whatever this is.